Grandmama used to pray, oh Lord, please save them from the evil snares and all the dangers that entangle. Yea, though they walking through the valley of the shadows, just prepare and make them fit for every battle, because I know they bound to come, and I know they bound to fall, but in your bounty, Lord, preserve their beautiful. Right, we still survive and offer grandma's prayers, surrounded by the jungle and the lion's den. Tread light, cause these traps is inconspicuous. They hide right in plain sight, thinking we don't see them when they linger. Look right beneath the surface, then leave a trail of corpses. Crisis, prices, your life a disposable commodity, like living in this fantasy, conditioned to believe that the system even cares whether selling CDs or walking or driving or reading. Look, they don't even need a reason, it's just you breathing and being black. When it's such a pretty fall, it don't seem like we falling at all, at all. It's just a GMO dream, where things are never really what they seem. Please cue the violins, tell them just to play me something pretty, cause this gritty city got me screaming bloody murder. So they got me screaming. This gritty city got me on some. Look, get your hand up on my pocket. Distraction, so lazy they use the same tactics, like condom with some trinkets. Just don't let them get to thinking. That light bulb gets a blinking. You know niggas and ideas. Oh dear, my dear, you may not know me, but I know you very well. Foresight, they say hindsight is 20/20. Well, tell me something, we gotta see that history is on repeat, and maybe it takes a beat and a melody to speak a little louder than the message in the clouds or the essence in the air. I swear, my God is just so clear that a system driven by fear can never give us nothing but more of the same things. Oh, when it's such a pretty fall, it don't seem like we falling at all. It's just a GMO dream, where things are never really what they seem. Please cue the violins, tell them just to play me something pretty, cause this gritty city got me screaming. It's murder. Got me screaming, got me. This gritty city got me on some.
What's happening, good people? We are live and direct. This is RSTV on Black Power Media. Welcome. Everybody good out there? Can you hear me out there in the beautiful land of Africa? In the beautiful land of revolution? Can you hear us? Is everything clear? Put a black fist up in the chat if you can hear us. Black fist in the chat if you can hear us. We want to make sure that you know that this is Black Power Media. And like the song would go, McFadden and Whitehead, ain't no stopping us now. So, I want to get started. I want to welcome you all to Black Power Media. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a great day to have our guests on. We'll be having on here momentarily. If this is your first time stopping by Black Power Media, we urge you to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button and also the bell so you can know when we are airing live. So yes, tonight it's a very monumental occasion. We want to thank you all for coming out. But before I get started, I want to say to you that we have rules of engagement over here. The rules of engagement are as follows. We don't disrespect our guests. So if there's something that you disagree with and you're in the chat, try your best not to talk out your head because of the fact that we will have to let you go. You know what I'm saying? If you have questions or whatever, or comments, feel free to add them. But at the same time, we want to have a respectful atmosphere here because that's what it's all about. Now, I want to start off by reading a statement. And this statement, tonight, for folks who are unaware, we're here to talk about building a united front against fascism. And I want to take it back to about 55 years to where this whole thing originated. And it started with the events in the spring of 1969 that led to the Black Panther Party's call for an anti-fascist united front. In Berkeley, California, at the height of the U.S. war in Vietnam, college campuses were hotbeds of anti-war protests and demands by Black students for anti-racist curriculums. Not only were students of every ethnic background demanding an end to the Vietnam War, but also for universities' divestment in the military-industrial complex, support for the Israeli Zionist settler state in apartheid South Africa. To subdue the conflagrations of student protests consuming colleges, the University of Berkeley faculty decided to build a married student dorm on vacant community land called People's Park, where students and community activists held rallies and teach-ins. It was on one such occasion, on May 15th, 1969, when a rally was scheduled to protest the Arab-Israeli conflict and opposition to the use of the site as university student dorm, that the Berkeley Police Department and other officers clashed with protesters using deadly force. Ronald Reagan, then governor of California, eventually sent in the state National Guard to quell the protests. By some superficial accounts, the 1969 confrontation in People's Park grew out of counterculture of the 1960s, but the reasons for the police violence in May of '69 was deeper than mere hippies turning on and turning out. Likely, like today, an entire generation has been radicalized by U.S. wars in Western Asia, Southeast Asia, and U.S. support for racist apartheid South Africa. Berkeley had been the scene of the first large-scale anti-war demonstration in the country on September 30, 1964. These student protests grew in numbers and militancy. By 1966, the nonviolent civil rights movement gave way to the emergence of the Black Panther Party for self-defense right next door in Oakland. Then in the late 1960s, student protests had spread across the United States, epitomized by the 1968 Columbia University divestment movement and ultimately the disruption of Democratic National Convention protests. Now, we have a whole lot to read and a whole lot to talk about, but we're not going to go any further because we don't want to hold our guests up and we don't want to hold you up. And again, we thank you all for joining us. Tonight, I have my brother with me. 1 second, please. Let's see. I have my brother, Dhoruba Bin Wahad, who's been calling for a united front for quite some time. And I want to bring him on because one of the things he's done is he decided about 2 weeks ago to call out, per se, some of the independent runners in this U.S. presidency, in this U.S. campaign. And, he mentioned by name Dr. Cornel West. He mentioned Dr. Jill Stein. And he mentioned Sister Claudia de la Cruz. We reached out to a number of our guests, to a number of these folks, and the call was answered by Dr. Cornel West and also by Dr. Jill Stein, who both will be joining us here tonight. Coming to the stage, I have my brother Dhoruba. If he turns his camera on, we're waiting for him. As soon as he turns his camera on, I'll turn mine. How about that? Anyway, while we're waiting for Dhoruba, I'm going to go ahead and just bring on our guest, our first guest. You know him. He's been around for quite some time. He's been fighting for our people for decades and decades and decades. And I think I see my brother Dhoruba. We have Dhoruba Bin Wahad. Dhoruba, how you doing today, brother? Take your mic off mute, please.
I'm fine, brother. I'm fine. It's nighttime here in Africa, but I'm good. I'm good. I hope everybody that's tuned in is ready for prime time. I'm looking forward to talking to my good brother and comrade Dr. Cornel West, and later on to the fantastic comrade Dr. Jill Stein. And so yeah, let's talk about this united front. Let's see if we can build, because I assure you that the enemy, the opposition, the fascist forces in the United States are planning right now as we speak to take power and control and consolidate authoritarian fascism and anti-democratic practices in the very near future, before the end of the year, as soon as possible. And this is a very crucial time. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully coming up with some commitments, some direction that we can give to those of us who are struggling on progressive and the left side of the barricades for a better world, for a better society, and to thwart the rise of fascism.
No doubt, no doubt. And so I guess I apologize. I know I was stumbling a little bit a few seconds ago. I don't know why I got nervous. I think I got nervous because D came through with that New York hat on, and I ain't want no problems. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, welcome to the platform, D. We're gonna bring on our main man, Dr. Cornel West, who's waiting in the wings. Dr. West, what's happening, brother? How you feeling tonight?
Brother, it's always a joy to set eyes on you two, brother. I'm telling you, my heart just leaps for joy. I'm telling. But Dhoruba, I go back 32 years. He's my brother, my comrade, my homeboy. I learned from him. When he calls, I come running. Even if I disagree, I'm hugging him because I know he loves the people. And I know he's speaking from the most profound motivation of empowering our people. And it's true for you too, my dear brother Kalandre, right out of the south end of Bridgeport.
Okay,
Best
okay.
of Bridgeport. The best of Bridgeport, brother. Same tradition, same deep commitment, same love for the people, and trying to think through some of these deep challenges given all of this suffering that's out here. Because, you know, we live in a sick empire. We live in a real sick empire. And it's just too many people who are perishing and vanishing and disappearing and dying and being subjugated. What do? We got to do the best we can. We got to do the best we can with what we got. So it's a blessing to be here. It really is. And I know we've done this many times and we'll do it many times in the future until the worm gets our bodies, because we are faithful unto death, trying to deal with the plight and predicament of Black people in particular and oppressed people in general.
Right on, right on. For those who don't know, Dr. West is one of the dopest MCs that we know. You know what I'm saying? Behind the scene, Dhoruba was joking with him. He said, "I'm not going to sign with Diddy," but I don't think that's true, right, Dr. West?
Lord.
Yeah, we don't do that. But anyway, definitely we appreciate you coming through. And definitely shout out to the south end of Bridgeport. See, Dr. West got it right. He said the south end of Bridgeport. He went where he's supposed to go.
That's right.
Y'all should vote for him on the strength of that. But anyway, I want people to know real quick. Dr. West will be on the first hour, and we will be followed by Dr. Jill Stein. We put the invitation out to all three of our favorite candidates. Let me just say that. And our good sister Claudia De La Cruz, we were told that she was on the road leaving Palestinian protests and the conference out in Detroit. And we've issued another invitation for her to come on at a later date. So we'll be waiting, because I know that a few different people asked us about why we didn't have our sister Claudia on the platform. Dhoruba, if you don't mind getting it started, briefly let us know why you called this meeting and this challenge, because, again, it was a bold challenge, and the candidate said, listen, you ain't saying nothing. We down for a united front. What you talking about? So tell the people, what it is that you were calling for and why we're here tonight.
Well, you briefly went over the history of the Black Panther Party's call in 1969, in May of 1969, for Anti-Fascist United Front. Now, at that time in 1969, the consolidation of the extreme right in the military and militarized police had not been completed. And the United States was in the throes of the Vietnam War and anti-Vietnam movement, and students had taken over campuses, Black students that went with arms into Jackson State and took it over. And people were protesting against the war. Black youth were protesting with arms for Black power, Black self-control. The civil rights movement had began to give way to the more militant movements of the late 60s. And it was a historical moment. And the ruling class in the United States, they were afraid. They were definitely afraid. They saw the consolidation of our movements, the consolidation of the new left, Black human rights coming together, and the beginnings of a rainbow coalition of white working class people, Chicanos, and Asians, and migrant workers. And this was sending shivers up the spines of the oligarchy at that time. And so they resorted to heavy-handed police repression. They resorted to demonization and assassination. Fred Hampton was murdered in December of '69. The Panther 21 were indicted in April of '69. So it was a very historical moment. And I just wanted to say that the reason why the Black Panther Party called for a united front was because it was a confluence of the mass movements on the campus against racism, for civil and human rights, against the wars, the Arab-Israeli conflict, and their response, Reagan's response in California, for instance, to the Berkeley demonstrations at People's Park in May of 1969 was to unleash the police on the demonstrators, and the police were vicious. They murdered a brother, and all hell broke loose. So we are in a similar time. And I think now it's more dangerous because now, since 1969, we've had the war on drugs, the so-called war on terror. We've had the militarization of the police in our communities, and things have gotten progressively worse. We have more Black faces in high places than we've ever had before, but we have no political power. We have Black mayors in cities with no political power. We have Black police chiefs and Black and Black district attorneys. Yet and still, the police are murdering Black people at an unprecedented rate. So I thought it was very important, given the fact that we are also witnessing the unprecedented genocide of the Palestinian people, ethnic cleansing in Palestine, where over 30,000 Palestinians have been murdered. 15, most of them women and children, have been totally subjected to ethnic cleansing by the European proxy, the Zionist state of Israel. And so this genocide that is going on as we speak has radicalized students across the country, has radicalized many movements across the country in solidarity with Palestine, not only across the United States, but around the world. We also have a genocide that's going on in the Sudan, being funded and armed by U.S. proxies, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. And so this is a very historical moment. And so students have woke up. A lot of young people, this generation is waking up to the lies that have been told them by the U.S. government. And they're waking up to the true nature of the United States as an imperial power. And also to the right wing, as we mentioned earlier, as I mentioned to brother Cornell, the right wing is consolidating itself and preparing itself to take power at the end of this year and during this election year. And people now have no alternatives no alternatives in the mainstream electoral system other than the Republican and Democratic Party, both pro-war corporate parties, both supporting the genocide in Palestine, both of whom thrive off of U.S. global hegemony and war and imperialism. So at this particular historical moment, we've also been blessed. And this is a blessing. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so glad that Brother Cornell has joined in, and Comrade Jill Stein later on, because we have three candidates, three campaigns trying to consolidate progressive movements, progressive people, students, young people, the poor and homeless, who are running campaigns based on empowerment of working class people, based on bringing under control the military-industrial complex, and we have to translate, in my view, given the history that I lived through and that we've been through, we have to translate this cornucopia of radical organization and potential into a united front, into a united movement to stem the rise of fascism and authoritarian rule in the United States, and the anti-democratic forces in the United States that have squashed free speech, that are trying to keep African people in their place here in the United States. And so I thought it was necessary. And my comrades, other comrades that were in the Black Panther Party are with me, Comrade Jalil Mutakim, Jihad Monique, Ashanti Austin, and other comrades have all agreed that we should put to Cornell and put to Jill Stein and put to Sister Claudia the need for them to help and lead in the building of in the creation and the organization of a united front against fascism and white supremacy and genocide, and imperial genocide. So this is why on Malcolm X's birthday, I threw down the gauntlet, so to speak, not in any antagonistic way, not in any supercritical way, but in an appeal to my brothers and sisters to join into the effort to build a united front at this historical moment, because we have to have unity in the face of the rising tide of fascism and white supremacy and anti-immigrant paranoia in this country. And we have to bring all of these organizations, all of the grassroots organizations that are struggling in the communities, that are struggling in the domestic colonies, for the homeless, for people on social assistance, for universal health care, for universal education. So I think that this is the time, and that history has shown us that men and women make history, as well as history calls into existence those characters and those individuals and those personalities who can make history.
We definitely appreciate you giving a rundown of why and what it was, what it's all about. I want to ask Dr. West, because you were actually the first person to respond. And again, we appreciate your response. And we wanted to, for folks that don't know, because I know there was some people that was like, well, y'all could have did that behind closed doors. We feel that Dr. West, Dr. Stein, and Sister Claudia, they're all running publicly. So we wanted to talk about this in a public forum, because we want people to know where we stand, which side of the barricades you stand on. We know where the right stands. We know where Trump stands. We know where Biden stands. We wanted to know where these three strong independents stand. So I want to ask you, Dr. West, what does what are your thoughts on a national united front against fascism? And also, what were your thoughts when you received the invitation or the message saying that our dear brother Dhoruba Bin Wahad, I'm sounding like you nowadays, our dear brother, our good brother.
He is our dear brother now. He is our dear
I
brother.
guess he is. I guess.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What did it mean to you?
No, one is that when I heard the idea, I mean, given the authority that I ascribe to my dear brother Dhoruba, I said, look, he's been through the fire. A number of us have been through different kinds of fire. I mean, he's been 19 years in captivity in prison, come out stronger than ever, still on fire in his 80th year, as if he's 18 or 28 or 38, because he's still focusing on the suffering of the people here and around the world. So given the authority that I ascribe to him, I said, this is a very, very serious proposal. And I've always been, in principle, supportive and in solidarity with united fronts. Now, a lot of it has been within the Black movement itself. I was there in MBIP in 1980 with the Black Independent Political Party. I was there with MBUF, with Reverend Herbert Daltrey and the others at House of Pentecostal Church. And I was teaching at Timbuktu Learning Center there for almost 6 years with Charles Barron and Inez Barron and a whole host of others. And the same is true in any call for a united front, usually within the context of the Black movement, because I'm thoroughly convinced that there will never, ever be fundamental change in the American empire without putting white supremacy at the center of it and grounding it in a critique of predatory capitalist processes and then its imperial tentacles around the world. That I'm also critical of patriarchy and homophobia and transphobia, like other things too. But for me, those three pillars sit at the center of it. And so much of what I've been concerned about in terms of united fronts, even when Ben Chavez was head of NAACP during his radical years, he changed a lot now. His radical years and called for a united front. Haki Mahabute was there, and Sonia Sanchez, and a whole host of others was there. Minister Farrakhan was there. All of us came together. A lot of differences, a lot of disagreements, but trying to create and sustain the united front. Same was true with the Black Radical Congress that we put together. Barbara Raspberry and others at the University of Illinois, Chicago. So that the history of this is something that is worth noting just briefly, and it's something that I've always gone with, because anywhere Black folk are catching hell and suffering, I want to be a small aid and help to deal with how we wrestle with it, how we try to alleviate it, how we try to call it into question, even given the different ideologies and different religions and different sensibilities of folk in our community. Now, I understand Brother Dhoruba to say, no, this is a united front that goes far beyond the Black community. We talking about progressive forces, left-wing forces, revolutionary forces across the board, and an anti-fascist coming together. Is that right, my brother?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very much so. And that means it's going to be even more wieldy and more broader and more challenging, but I will be there. I mean, if Brother Dhoruba called for a gathering of such a thing, I would be there. Now, you could imagine right now in the middle of the campaign where you get all kind of different attempts to keep the campaign going, to make sure the same kinds of issues that our brother was talking about are talked about within the very narrow, colonized, truncated electoral political realm that's already dominated by big money, already dominated by Wall Street, already dominated by the military, by the war machine and so forth. But we on the move. We are very, very much on the move. And you can imagine too, you know, we got our tensions with our fellow candidates and things. You know, I don't know Sister Claudia at all. I have great respect for her. She went to the same seminary I started teaching in 1977, but I saw her briefly at a gathering. And of course, I've worked with Jill Stein over the years and supported her in the past. And at the moment, I don't have a whole lot of deep trust in her, but that doesn't mean that that particular individual attention should get in the way of a larger united front of social forces. Because we do, on the one hand, you know, we got different levels of personal and subjective relations with people. And then you got a larger dimension or register that has to do with social forces and social movements. And I don't believe that individual tensions ought to get in the way of social forces. That's just what I've learned in the last 50 years.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you said that, Cornell. I'm really glad you said that because I'm gonna let you finish, but
Right.
when we call the United Front in '69, 5,000 to 7,000 people, 5,000 to 7,000 activists showed up, including the Communist Party, the Peace and Freedom Party, the Progressive Labor Party, the Red Guard Party, Southern Christian Leadership Conference even showed up. Students for a Democratic Society, the Third World Liberation Front, the Young Lords, the Young Patriots from Appalachia, and a host of other organizations. But the only ones that didn't show up, and this is why history is the best subject to reward or research, as I'm paraphrasing Malcolm. The exceptions that didn't show up was the Black middle class clergy and Black groups funded by white endowments and established liberal elected officials. They didn't show up, and also the other ones that didn't show up were the narrow Black cultural nationalists, the Messianic Black religious sects and organizations, and the anti-poverty pimps who would later become the Black Legislative Caucus. And these individuals, almost all of them that didn't show up, supported in one way or other Clinton's war on the subsequent war on drugs that devastated our communities, that expanded and exploded the prison industrial complex. All of those forces and classes that didn't show up on when we call for the United Front showed up to back the war on drugs and the war on crime. And so we should have that as an example now so that we can understand, just like you pointed out, Brother Cornell, that this is much bigger than us. This is much bigger than our individual differences. This is much bigger than even some of the beefs we might have over the years with other organizations and other affiliations. All of that has to be set aside because our enemy, the enemies of oppressed people, the enemies of this planet, the ones who are causing the global warming and weather conditions that are driving people off of the land, that are killing crops, that are changing the paradigms of survival. That this is that moment that we have to build this broad front. There's more progressive people. I do believe in my heart that there's more progressive people. There's more people dedicated to peace. There's more people dedicated to democratic government, and more people dedicated to anti-racism and anti-white supremacy than there are white supremacists and racists and those dedicated to war and exploitation. And we need to begin to now build this united front, because I do believe in my heart, Brother Cornell, that if we could build a thoroughgoing united front, a broad united front between now and the election year and the elections in November, that we could go on to build over the next 4 years the basis for independent political party, for a third political party, for a political party that encompasses all of the people and classes that you talk about over the years. You have talked about the oligarchy in the United States. You've talked about
Right on. Dhoruba, your mic might have dropped, but while Dhoruba is getting his
you think his
while
mic
Dhoruba's
get dropped off? Yeah.
look like he's muted as well. So
Yeah.
while he's getting it together, I want to say to you, first of all, again, thank you for coming on, and we appreciate your answer. I know that the last time you came on my show on the platform, we talked about plans outside of electoral politics. We talked about what was the where do we go after the election, win, lose, or draw, right?
Right.
And one of the reasons we brought you on tonight, of course, is that we didn't want to necessarily talk about what your platform is, because you talked about your platform across the board, and we're definitely grateful that you one of the things you stated was despite our differences, because we know that sometimes folks will leave you on the plantation if they're not cool with you. You know what I'm saying? They on the run, like, leave him on the plantation. Don't even tell him we leaving. Or
that's why we love Harriet Tubman. So.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we come with the shotty.
That's right.
I want to ask you, because what Dhoruba just mentioned about building a strong third party, strong independent party, because this is the foundation, and you mentioned Harriet Tubman. To me, this is the foundation for a springboard for a strong third party. Because if we're talking about building something, building against fascism, you all would be laying the foundation by coming on board. Of course, we're not relying on or pointing the finger saying, let's put the weight on the candidates. We're saying whether you're part of a grassroots organization, whether you're a rapper, whether you're a scrapper, you know what I'm saying, or a jawjacker, you gotta be on the right side of the barricades. So I want to ask you, for you, the reality of building this, because we didn't just call you on here to intellectually masturbate, you know what I'm saying, to get some numbers up on YouTube. We want to ask you how realistic to you, and what would you say the steps would be towards building a united front against fascism. I keep saying national, but ultimately it has to be international.
Right. I mean, one is, it's a two-step thing. See, I'm still in the process of trying to win. See, so I'm still trying to make my move as Trump ends up in jail, as Biden pulls out and does the LBJ thing, and they got to go to the B team. And as the empire continues to implode, my consistency will be such that there's still a chance that I am the main alternative. I'm not giving that up right now. I think that that's something that can be very, very real. And we are ascending, we're escalating, as it were. So what would that mean is that on the one hand, I said I'm not going to the White House until everybody has a house. But if in fact I do win, then we could have the United Front meeting right across from the White House, facilitated by whatever executive order or bully pulpit I would use, because I'm an anti-imperialist. I'm critical of capitalism. I'm deeply anti-white supremacist and male supremacist. So that in that sense, when Dhoruba was talking about what happens after the election, I don't want to just assume that somehow I'm just going to be,
oh yeah, and I didn't mean that. Let's clear.
Right. Because when November the 5th hits, I got the same commitment to the United Front, the same commitment to Black people, the same commitment to poor and working people as I had before. But it would be a different moment, because I would no longer be part of a campaign where we're working and doing all that we can to win. So what that would mean is whatever infrastructure that we begin to set in place, that I'm very open to be part of that infrastructure, or whatever kind of national or international committee that they have, I'm open to be a part of, but just one voice among others. Our anthem of a people to lift every voice. You know what I mean? And so just one voice among others. This ain't Gladys Knight and the Pips. This is, everybody is a kind of Pip with a certain kind of super Pip who services as a committee. You see what I'm saying?
Right on. I'm glad you said Gladys Knight and the Pip, not the Pimps. But anyway, I think
there's one voice. I plan to be one voice among others, even though there's so many other important voices. No doubt about that.
No doubt. Dhoruba, your mic is muted. You going off, but your mic muted. Your mic is still muted, brother. You gotta take yourself off of mute. But yeah. While Dhoruba is getting it together.
But how does he do that though, brother?
I don't know. Dhoruba's an amazing guy. He can do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Dhoruba, you still on mute, brother. I don't know what's going on with your headset. Check your computer. There you go. Nope. You was unmuted and you muted yourself back again.
Looked like it was coming back a little bit, but no.
There we go.
We can wait on our brother.
You're unmuted now, so you can say. We hear you now.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
You're good now.
But my phone's ain't working. Okay. I guess I gotta come off these phones. I was going to say that that I agree with Cornell. You see, my call wasn't for Cornell or
You muted yourself again, brother. Dhoruba, whatever you just did, you muted yourself again. It's probably your headset.
Oh.
Okay, you're muted again. Your mic is on mute.
He might have to put those back in again then.
Yeah.
But
This
is so important what he was saying though.
Yeah.
Can
there
you
he
hear
is.
me?
Yeah.
Now.
Just stay right there, whatever that is.
Yeah, you gotta get some
Okay,
cheap headphones like me. Your joint's too expensive. Go ahead, brother.
Man, I gotta get some wired headphones. You know, I was saying, I didn't issue the appeal and the call for Jill or for Cornell or for Claudia to give up the efficacy of their campaign, to give up their thrust for their campaign. But I do know, being an objective organizer, I do know all three of them have something that they could contribute in the course of their campaign to building this front. And I just wanted to say that I think Cornell. I know that Cornell, for instance, Cornell is all of us knows that besides being one of the blues people who relishes Black music and Black culture, Cornell is a well-known, articulate, and prominent Black voice advocating for radical and meaningful humanitarian policies and institutional change. He's a champion in our community through this. And as he pointed out, he's been involved in many efforts for Black unity, for Black United Fronts, and over the years during the course of his struggle. And also Jill Stein and the Green Party. Although the Green Party does not have the type of notoriety and public persona in the Black community, it is nonetheless an organization and a campaign that has penetrated and democratized the institutional electoral system in over a dozen states. And it can serve to galvanize voters in the cities and districts of all backgrounds and classes, and bring them to and bring those forces of the United Front to the ballot box. They could help organize them. And I said we were blessed with a choice. We have Sister Claudia, whose organization has discipline and members who are dedicated to bringing socialism and an approach to community progress and community work and communal work to the table. So I think we've been blessed to have three campaigns, actually. You know, each one having a forte, each one having a lane in which they are trying to change the paradigm of the electoral system and empower our people. And when I say our people, I just don't mean Black people. I mean the people who make up the wealth and the prosperity of this country and hopefully internationally of the world. So I think Cornell is right in not abdicating his campaign, and inshallah, I think Genocide Joe is gonna probably drop dead before November anyway. And so all we're gonna have to deal with is the Orange Man. And he might be when Orange Man might be in prison stripes.
Dhoruba, did you just say inshallah Genocide Joe dropped? Anyway.
I didn't. Did I say that?
Yeah.
I don't.
Anyway,
I didn't say that, brother. I didn't say. I said. I think I said mashallah.
Okay. So anyway, we thank
Lord,
Dhoruba.
Lord.
I just meant, nobody gets out of this life alive.
That's
That's
So,
cool, brother. Hey,
that's right. That's right.
you ain't got to explain to me, brother. But anyway,
Brother Kalandra, you see all the joys you got coming in life to be an older black man, an older African who still got fire and style and brilliance when you with Brother Dhoruba. You got some joys coming your way, brother. I'll tell you that.
man, listen,
maybe that's why I'm broke. I'm so I'm so broke I can't pay attention.
hey, Cornell, my hair is as gray as yours. You just can't tell.
No,
But
no, but
anyway,
you see, Martin and Mary Lou and Fannie Lou, they were brokers of Ten Commandments financially, but not brokers of Ten Commandments politically, spiritually, morally, and culturally. They were as rich as they come, just like you, brother Dhoruba. You know that.
right on, right on.
Hopefully that's true. But yeah, so I'm saying that I wholeheartedly think that the brother Cornell can bring I mean I when he mentioned Charles Barron, I was just talking to Brother Barron about 2 weeks ago, and by the tone of his voice, he's ready. He's ready to rip and run again. And yeah, man. It was that APAC money. It was that APAC money and Meeks and Jeffries and them that knocked him out the box.
That's exactly right, though, brother. Exactly. He was
so
just
I know, so
he was just with Marcus Garvey Park. We had a rally in Harlem just a few days ago. I had him come up on the stage with me because he and I, of course, been at it for almost 40 years, traveling the country. Inez as well. But then I'm going to be on his show actually on Friday. They got the WBAI. They got a new radio.
Well, I hope you shout out the Black United, the Anti-Fascist United Front.
Good.
That you shouted out because with people like yourself and Brother Ham, Larry Ham in Jersey, and yourself. I mean, man, there's a lot of vets, there's a lot of veterans out there, man, who ain't about to get mad. They're gonna try to get even, and so I feel good. I feel good about where we could go and how we can get it together. And I'm not gonna lie, I was very, very relieved to hear you talk about how personal beefs cannot get in the way of the broader need of our people, the broader needs of our people at this historical moment, and how we have to create the type of political clout that the fascists and the authoritarians and these racists have to respect, and whether they like it or not, you see. And your voice, Brother Cornell, is very valuable in doing this. It really is.
I want to point out we have a question from the chat, and we may take. I know that Dr. Cornell will be with us for a few more minutes. I think about 20 minutes or so. So I definitely want to get in as much with him as possible because Dhoruba and I we could reminisce on old times and whatnot. we definitely want to get as much out as possible. One of the things I would like to point out for the viewers, this particular program, what we're doing here today, is a precursor. It is a start of a ongoing process. This isn't, we're bringing on these candidates one time and it's a big thing on White Folks Memorial Day. That's not what we're doing here. It's not a situation where we're trying to entertain folks. We will have some in-person meetings, some private, some public, but these are things that will take place in the upcoming months. We know that right now on the college campuses across the globe, over 50 colleges here and universities here in the United States, and a few dozen abroad. The youth are on fire, student organizers on fire, professors, so on and so forth. They're fighting the genocide that's going on in Israel and the Sudan, so on and so forth. Excuse me, in Palestine and the Sudan, etc. I want to ask you, Dr. Cornel West, will you be joining us? I know you're dealing with this with your campaign, but we're definitely looking to get some in-person commitments so that folks can see that this united front is more than just some sap rap that we spitting on the internet. Because a lot of times we all come from generations, we predate the internet, we predate social media, and sometimes a lot of folks forget about that particular portion, and they think that organizing is between a enter button. They think a type buy is sufficient. So can we get some commitments from you, some strong commitments, public commitments?
Well, I got my book here though. What day did you want to get together though, brother?
Okay, cool. So we're our first date, we're talking about Black August in August. In fact, I know that here in Atlanta, we'll be doing something the 16th, 17th, and 18th. So if you're available during that time frame, we can talk. That'll be the FTP 20-year anniversary, and we're deciding that we can include, a discussion with a number of different freedom fighters, and organizers, and candidates, etc.
If I may say something, I think. I just wanted to say I think that by the token of time, manners, and loss, I think that I think that we should at least try to get some types of plenary sessions, some type of planning sessions in July. I know I'm scheduled to come back for medical treatment at the end of July.
Bless you.
But I think that that we need to do things. But I think that these kids, these young folks, when they go back to school in September, that they should be on fire with the fact that there's the possibility of having a third force that they could plug into, that they could exercise their activism within. And so I think that we should try to plan something at least to get together in July, at the end of July, before Black August.
Okay, cool. Well, let's talk. Yeah, go ahead.
I think we could do both of them. I think if we got together in July, and then I plan to be in Atlanta, though. I'm going to be in A-Town with you on the 17th for Garvey's anniversary.
Right. Okay, cool.
Coming back in the whirlwind and the storm. Dhoruba means the storm. Garvey coming back in the whirlwind and the storm, which is the third verse of the home. God has his way in the whirlwind and the storm. Oh, that's Garvey, you see. He understands what it means to keep the struggle going. You got the lion in the cage, but you got cubs on the way. Didn't he say that though, Brother Kalonji?
No doubt. He said you might have the lion in the cage, but you left cubs in the bush.
Many cubs in the bush. You see, and the cubs lions too.
Yes, sir.
Well, messing with you two old guys, man. If you look for me in the whirlwind, I'll be gone. we got to speed this up. A little bit here, man.
Anyway.
No, but I think that both July and August sounds good to me. So you just, as the Isaac brothers would say, write that down. Write that down. Absolutely.
See, he went Isaac brother on you, D. So he wasn't ready for that.
So Brother Cornell, I think we should put the weight on Kalonji, seeing that he's plugged into the global village. I think we should put the weight on Kalonji to try to get a plenary couple of Zooms in early July, and maybe a physical meeting in some venue where you and perhaps the other candidates, the other platforms might be in the same venue in the same city, or on a similar date or during a similar week. I think it's very important that we have somebody trying to coordinate this between us, between the campaigns. And so, seeing that Kalonji was able to reach out to everyone, I think that we should put the weight on him and hold him accountable for getting us coordinated. And also, I think that we should expand this to include other organizations that we know are doing work, and people that we know. Like when I mentioned Brother Barron and Brother Larry Ham and these brothers, I mean, they in the mix already. And I know Byron's ready to, he put on his pro kids to put on his Converses again and run up and down this court. So
that's true.
so I'm saying I'm going to reach out. I think you should reach out to him too, Brother Cornell. You said you had it.
I'll mention it.
I think we should reach.
Absolutely, I'm gonna mention. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
This is the first organization to endorse this my campaign in East New York. First one. He got a similar kind of deep commitment that we've talked about that's similar to both of you all. So yes, I agree with that. But Brother Kalonji, is that putting too much on you though, brother? Or what is that cool?
I mean, hey brother, I'm glad you asked. Dhoruba don't care, but you see how he treat me? You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't gonna do
Well, I'm just, I'm south of I'm ass out south of the Sahara on the eve of Armageddon, so I can't do it myself. But
we're gonna make it happen. We'll make it happen. I'll put a team on it for sure. We'll definitely.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, though.
Definitely, we appreciate you. You coming on board and uniting with this this National United Front Against Fascism. I think that the one thing to before we go, I want to thank Dhoruba because when he first issued the call, I don't think people understood that, as the preacher used to say, it's getting late in the evening. And I think that for us, it's bigger than a campaign. This is our lives. This is, genocide is running rampant. You know what I mean? And not just in Palestine. It's genocide all over the globe. And we're sitting watching the fires burn, waiting to get burnt. You know what I'm saying? And we're catching these sparks. We're getting lit up in the streets of the U.S., in the streets of Paris, and all over the globe right now, Haiti, etc. And, we think as organizers and as veterans that it is our duty, it is our responsibility to pave the way for those who are coming after us. So I think that some folks are getting it twisted. And, I've seen some of the folks in the chat. I want to remind our people that it's bigger than the ballot. You know what I'm saying? It's bigger than hip hop. Win, lose, or draw, we still have to face this fire. So we're going to have to fight this fire, and we got to fight it like never before. And the one thing that we appreciate you saying is, despite any differences, the position is the same. We have to fight fascism. We have to the system of capitalism, imperialism, colonialism, it has to be destroyed. It must be smashed. And if we don't figure out a way to leverage this thing, then we'll be going to hell in a handbasket. So definitely we appreciate you coming on. We're looking forward to speaking to you again. Any closing words you want to give the people out there?
Well, again, it's just a joy to be in conversation with you all. Every time I spend time with you, I leave more fortified. I leave more willing to fight. We used to say on Sunday nights in my church, we take time to tell our determination to be faithful unto death on the battlefield. And then they used to always say, and let my last years be my best years. That's Shiloh Baptist Church. Now, you don't have to be Christian to understand the depths of that. You could be Muslim, you could be atheist, you could be agnostic, but tell your determination. What you gonna do with the time and energy and all that goes into you and all the love that's been poured into you? How are you gonna manifest that in your witness? And will your last years be your best years? Hey, that come right out of our tradition. Right out of a rich tradition of a great black people. Now, it's for everybody, but it's starting on the chocolate side of town. I'm just going to be honest about that. And that's very much where this idea came from. It came from our dear brother, Dhoruba. Ain't nobody like this brother that I recall in the last 45, 50 years. I mean, you got some magnificent folk out there, but he has been true, and he never sold his soul for a mess apology, never sold out. His heart has always been with the people. And I want folk to know that. I'm sorry to go on, but I'm just trying to tell the truth here.
Hey, brother, that's all we demand. Yeah, but again, we thank you for coming on. Whenever we called on you, there's been no excuses. And there's been no, I don't, if you didn't have a date, if you couldn't make that date, and you made sure that you had a date for us. So I definitely appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. And, in the mortal words of your brother Dhoruba, look for us in the whirlwind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, brother. I really do.
doubt.
I'm glad you took time to clarify that. And so we're going to get moving. I'm going to get some of these soldiers up here that's been anxious to organize and get some boots on the ground so that we could get pulling a lot of these grassroots organizations, small organizations, big organizations, because a united front amplifies all of us. Amplifies all of our activities. And so it's good to know that you're on board, Brother Cornell. And so I'm looking forward to talking to you again soon. And hopefully we'll have some more comrades and some more organizations. Some of them we know, we both know. Some of them we don't. But there's no strangers in this revolution, only comrades who never met. So So I'm glad that you come on, brother. Thank you very much.
No
doubt.
Salute you.
No
now.
doubt. Yes.
And God bless your ones. Yes. God bless your loved ones. That's a blessing. They still go. Oh,
God bless yours as well. Right on. We'll check you out. You've been checking out our good brother, Dr. Cornel West, who's been rocking with us for the last hour. We appreciate him coming through. We're going to be right back at you. We have good sister, Dr. Jill Stein, who will be coming on right after this quick message. Dhoruba, you good over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I didn't want you to, you were looking sentimental a few minutes ago. I wanted to make sure you was good. But anyway, we gonna be right back at you.
Speaking of sentimental,
yeah, we're gonna do this quick break real quick. We're gonna be back with Dr. Jill Stein. Stand by.
Okay.
We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am a revolutionary. And you're going to have to keep on saying that. You're going to have to say that I am a proletarian. I am the people.
I need that Fred Douglas bro. Motherfuckers with the muscles. No strength is in the digits. Quit spitting on the bungalow. The devil got a buzz stronger than a bumble nose. Lions and impalas and they creeping through the jungle slow. Warthog, pull him over, but the tail light, heart beating fast, and he begging to the jail price. You know the one that brothers find in the slammer. Gotta do the running man if they ever find a hammer. Check the grammar. Kelsey ain't Frazier, sitting on the couch with his wrist near a razor. The hood could be good if we love thy neighbor, but the world is so full, no gas in the pacer. Indiana in the temple of doom. No, the slum ain't plum, it resembles a prune. Crime on the regular, look at the coons, is what they do from the treetop, silver for the spoon. No regrets, bro, we do it for the. Don't flex, bro, we do it for the. No rest, bro, we do it for the. No need to guess, bro, we do it for the. No regrets, bro, we do it for the. Don't flex, bro, we do it for the. No rest, bro, we do it for the. No need to guess, bro, we do it for the.
Formerly, I'm Malcolm Little, but grow up in the my Malcolm unknown. AP like Malcolm Middle, but figure how sun grown is more corner stores, corner pockets and blunt rolls. Get the rolling strips and you know the grip like run nose. Live from where they designated for us to be at, with designated drivers to stay behind on the G-Pack. Toss money with lost money, inspired feedback, and the light come with it, baby. You see that? See that? Be that like nobody ever was. They told us to get it forever on these forever runs. Said to never be done. The height of ambition is what you leak from, and suck all that away when you get it. Know who to keep from. I'm riding in Tommy Smith, John Carlos, but my jeans are still fit from John Favardos, and I still do mean biz as far as bars go, and my roof is still nowhere near where my car go. For real.
No regrets, bro, we do it for the. Don't flex, bro, we do it for the. No rest, bro, we do it for the. No need to guess, bro, we do it for the. No regrets, bro, we do it for the. Don't flex, bro, we do it for the. No rest, bro, we do it for the. No need to guess, bro, we do it for the.
I'm not the pig. You got to make a distinction. The people are going to have to stand up against the pig. That's what the Panthers are doing. That's what the Panthers are doing all over the world.
What's happening, good people? Dr. Jill Stein, how you doing?
I'm doing really good now that I'm here. Really great to be with you. Such an honor. I've had the pleasure of speaking with Kalanji a few times. Dhoruba, I don't know that I've ever had the honor of talking with you, and it's just an inspiration to be here listening to you and just have so much respect for your wisdom and your incredible experience and your integrity. And thank you for being a part of this. And thank you so much for calling out this conversation, which I think is really overdue. And it took, it really took a courageous veteran of the Black Panther Party to call up, to stand up and to call us all out and say, how are we doing this? We need this more than ever.
Well, we've never been able to talk directly, but we have a few comrades in common, and you have a long history of trying to change this paradigm of electoral politics in a democratic fascist society. So I'm so glad that you responded to the call. I'm very excited that you did, and I'm looking forward to us, seeing how we could build and expand on the programs and the platforms that you are putting forward. I read the Green Party platform, and the different areas of concern that really impact working people, young people, and the youth. And I think it goes without saying, given your history and your ability to analyze different historical moments. I mean, we've been around for a while, and we could see that this is a very special moment right now, with this genocide going on before our very eyes in Palestine. This young generation has already woke up to the duplicity of white supremacy and the Zionists and Zionism trying to flip the script on their proxy, on their military proxy in Western Asia, so that people can believe that they somehow are the victims and the Palestinians are somehow the aggressors and the terrorists. I think we're ahead of the game now. In practice, it would have took a year just to get people to have a discussion on making the distinction between anti-Semitism and Zionism. But these kids got it. They already got it. They understand it. And as I pointed out, And I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. I've been asked, so what do we have to look for in this next phase as we approach the summer and the new year coming in, the election coming in at the end of the year, and school coming back in September? What do we have to look forward to? And I think that from my experience in this period, we know that, and I think you know that once they unleash the police on demonstrators and people exercising free speech, they've already lost. That the state has already lost. Once they start resorting to violence and demonizing academia, demonizing faculties, trying to paint peaceful protests as violent, they've already lost. So what they come with next is encapsulation. We know that they're going to come at us and come at the progressive movements with an attempt to divide us, to pit us against each other, based on particular oppressions, the particularity of our individual oppressions, our group oppressions. They're going to try to pit immigrants against Black people against Latinos, students against older people, liberals, progressives against those of us who feel more cautious and want to approach things on a more cautious level. And so the need for a united front against fascism, against the rise of authoritarian politics in this country and abroad is a historical necessity right now. And so I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, Jill, and whether we could look forward to you helping build this anti-fascist united front, not just here, not just in the U.S., but globally, hopefully, and how we could possibly transform this into a mass movement, a mass united front that could possibly, in 4 years, lead to the establishment of a third political party.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say, from my part, I have always really tried to be a part of building a united front. In my home state, in Massachusetts, we brought together the Rainbow Coalition, which was, grew out of the Black Panther Party. The Rainbow Coalition and the Green Party got together to create what is the affiliate of the Green Party in Massachusetts. It's called the Green Rainbow Party, that brings together the Black Panther Rainbow Coalition and the Greens. For years, I have worked as part of a multi-party coalition on the left. It was called Left Elect, and it started sometime after the 2012 race, and it included mostly socialist parties and the Greens. And it kind of got destroyed when Bernie Sanders entered the race and started sheepdogging a lot of people and drew a lot of people away. But the makings of that are there again, and a lot of people are really hungering to build this. And I have always been reaching out to others. That's in fact why Adamo and I reached out to Brother West when he was stuck with the People's Party and said, hey, let's build this coalition, run on our ballot lines. We'll get you on the ballot, so we can truly fight empire, not just as a principled and powerful voice, but with power. Because if you don't fight the empire with power, they don't give you the time of day. It's like you're not there. You got to, this is a dead serious game. You've got to actually challenge power. And we had, from the very start, because we are an established people-powered party, and we fight for power, we had ballot lines for basically 70% of the work that it takes across the country. You have to get a million signatures, or you have to already have your ballot status. So we had basically 70% of the work done from the very start. So we were ecstatic about getting behind Dr. West. And we were kind of surprised when he walked away without prior discussions or warning. And I think Dr. West is a little mad at me because I jumped in to rescue our ballot lines. And I've been trying to have a conversation, and it's been very hard to have that conversation. And I really appreciate anything that others can do that he has enormous respect for to help get that conversation going again, because I likewise feel like we don't have to wait for fascism. Fascism is here in a very big way. It's not only cracking the heads of peaceful protesters just exercising their constitutional rights to object to this horrific massacre, this genocide taking place with our dollars, with our weapons, with diplomatic cover from our leaders. This is absolutely outrageous. We have to scream about it. But what's happening to those of us who are doing it? We're getting our heads cracked. We are getting tasered. We're getting, chemically poisoned. We're being assaulted. I myself was assaulted by some of the Israeli Defense Force trained police in St. Louis as part of the Washington University in St. Louis protests. My team, we were there standing with the students, and we were assaulted with bicycles used as battering rams. And then I was charged with assault. I was charged with assaulting a police officer because they were knocking me over, and one of the cops bent down and picked up one of my feet in an effort to deliver the final blow and knock me over backwards. And I was able to jerk out of his grip. And so he said, "Oh, well, you're being charged now with assault." So the African-American community has long been subjected to this forever. Those of us who went through the Vietnam War protests also saw this big time on our campuses. The Democratic National Convention in 1968, was famous for beating up on protesters. So we've seen this for a long time, but now it's more vicious and it's more armed. And we have the 1033 program that's moving military grade weapons into our local police forces, armored vehicles and tanks and tasers and drones, that they're now being equipped with. So fascism is very much here. And then you've got the Congress, which is passing this so-called anti-Semitism awareness bill, which is essentially criminalizing campuses and other institutions, basically criminalizing them if they speak out against genocide and pretending that genocide is anti-Semitic, that opposing genocide is anti-Semitic. That is false. As someone who was raised in the Jewish community after the Holocaust, I will say it is a Jewish value to object, to protest, to call out genocide, and to refuse to allow it, no matter who it's happening to, and to call that anti-Semitism because we're criticizing the state of Israel for conducting genocide as determined by the International Court of Justice, and now the International Criminal Court as well. We have the highest bodies of the land, as well as the American people, who are very much on board here with calling this a genocide and with demanding that it stop immediately. So this is fascism. It's this fascism, especially being led by the Democratic Party. We don't have to wait for Donald Trump to worry about fascism. Leading the charge for genocide is fascism. Silencing our rights to protest and our rights to free speech, that's fascism. It's being led at the moment by the Democrats. But we have to fight this. We have to fight this now with every fiber of our being. And, as someone who has been involved in the fights in our communities and the fights in the voting booth, we want to build a united front, and we don't want to wait for a united front. We want to build that now in every way that we can. And I think it's really important to call that question. How can we avoid being divided and conquered? Because that's how the system works. In fact, the Federal Election Commission has made it illegal for us to talk to each other as campaigns. We can't talk to each other about how we can work together. We have to talk through lawyers. That's how it can happen. Otherwise, we're all very much at risk for being sued by the Federal Election Commission for having this conversation with each other. I can talk to you about it, but I can't talk to other candidates about it. But that's outrageous. That's outrageous. This is the game of divide and conquer. This is how they win, and this is more of that politics of fear, making us afraid of asserting our power. Frederick Douglass, as you know, said, power concedes nothing without a demand. We've got to make the demand, to end fascism, to end the war on working people and African-American people and brown people and Arab American and Muslim people. We've got to stop the divide and conquer there. We have to stop the war on the climate and the destruction of our climate, which is melting down around us right now. We have to end the endless wars, which are driving us into nuclear confrontation here. It's not hard to see how the war in the Middle East, which is being expanded, there's nothing that Bibi Netanyahu wants more than to drag the U.S. into war with Iran. He's trying to do that. And Iran is networked with Russia, which has a lot of nuclear weapons. It's not hard to see how this goes nuclear. It's like pre-World War I with nuclear weapons thrown into the mix. This is a disaster. This is a disaster that is impoverishing us, denying us the resources for housing and healthcare and education and to get people out of debt. We need that money spent here, but half of our congressional budget is now being squandered on these endless wars, including the war in the Middle East, which could go ballistic at any time. So, I feel like our lives really depend on a united front, and we need that united front. We can't wait for that united front. We need that as quickly as possible. I'll just say on why I think Dr. West is mad at me is because I was asked to fill the gap when he walked away from the Green Party. And I totally understand it's very hard to build a relationship with a party that you haven't worked with before when you're running for office, especially when you're running for president. But we didn't have any warning. Like we heard 3 weeks before, and as he was leaving, we didn't get any advance notice. And suddenly we had to fill the gap or we would lose our ballot lines. And I think unless you've fought before, you may not understand how utterly precious ballot lines are. It's not easy to get them. And, I could show you the maps right now if you went to Dr. West's site to see where he's on the ballot. I think it's 7 states, mostly small ones, that have altogether maybe 65, 68 electoral college votes. If you went to ours, you'd see we are on currently 21, but we've since gotten ballot status in additional states and others where the signatures have already been turned in. So it's actually 24 states with many more about to be turned in. And if you add up the numbers, it's almost at a majority of electoral votes. So we're way up there. This is a hard fight to fight. It's very hard to fight it successfully first time around. So at any rate, we didn't want to lose our ballot lines that we have worked on for years, for decades, to develop these ballot lines. And then suddenly we were going to miss deadlines because we didn't have advance notice that our candidate had decided to go independent. So it was either going to be Ajamu or me who, had the ability to mobilize quickly and draw together a team so that we could meet the deadlines and not lose our ballot status. So at any rate, Ajamu and I duked it out for a while and he won the argument. So I became the candidate at any rate. But I can see why Dr. West may take that personally and feel like I jumped in to run against him. It wasn't to run against him. It was to salvage our ballot lines, which otherwise we would lose if you're not running a candidate. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So at any rate, we are on track right now. We are the only pro-worker, anti-war, anti-genocide, climate emergency campaign that is on track to be on the ballot across the country. We are already well on our way there. And this is a really critical fight. I think this is not a fight that can wait till another day. I think we have to fight the empire now and refuse to let the empire take us into this dark night, which is what it is doing. I think we need to stand up and fight back and demand what we have the majority of American voters behind. It's not only the majority of American voters, but it's also American values that we need to be able to take care of our dire and urgent needs here at home and not go squandering half of our congressional budget on wars that make us more endangered, not more secure. So I think there's a huge amount of public support, including, for ending student debt and for demanding healthcare as a human right and rent control across the country. There's so many things that the American public is behind in large numbers, and we have to stand up and demand it with a voice that will actually be on the ballot and can challenge empire right now in real time, because our lives depend on challenging empire. The sooner the better.
We appreciate you with that answer, Dr. Stein. I want to remind folks that we're here tonight to talk about the call for a united front. I know that we know that you and Dr. West you all have your differences, and so and this is and hopefully at some point we may play a role in you all to the table for that particular subject. But I want to tonight we invited you on, and you've done an excellent job of laying out the necessity, because absolutely right now we're in, it's red line right now. It's code red, and we really have to get on the right side of the barricades. So with that, I say, again, we want to, try to limit, why Dr. West is mad, because our job tonight is to find out how we going to build this united. I want to ask you, because we know that you have dedicated your life, at least as long as we've known of you, to fighting imperialism. We know you've been accused of being of hanging with Russians and all kinds of other madness that they try to flip on you and make you look like you were someone other than you were, that you are. I want to ask you, what does building a united front look like to you, coming from, from Dr. Jill Stein? How realistic is it, and how can we possibly move in that direction? Because we really, at this stage, and we are at a stage where, like I always say, we don't have to be on the same page, but we have to be in the same book. And right now, the book that we're in right now is anti-fascism, anti-colonialism, anti-imperialism. So how do we, in your eyes, if you had the opportunity to wave a magic wand and say, bing, here we go, what's your take? How would we go? Which direction?
Yeah. So let me just say, we did this in my home state. We actually brought two political parties together that then merged and became a unified force. We need to do that on a grander scale. And it's not like we have to become, ideally we want to be one party, to have one strong united party, but there's all kinds of room for collaboration on the way to becoming one party. And I think you have to work together. You have to be, shoulder to shoulder in the street, in the field, doing the work together to actually build community and then move to being one party. But even while you're getting there, people can run campaigns like a presidential race, can have more than one party in the ticket. You can have one person in the presidential ticket and another person in the vice presidential ticket. That is a real way that collaboration can be built in the field in this election or any election. That could happen right now. And in feelers early on publicly that we thought that was a good idea. And, we were looking to help use our platform because we do have ballot access. We have ballot access that I think no other independent pro-worker anti-genocide candidate is going to come anywhere near. And we made it known that we're not concerned with me winning. We're concerned with us winning. We want this to advance our power, our empowerment as the people. And that doesn't have to be one party. That can be multi-partisan democracy, which is being smashed right now, has been for decades, actually, in that alternative, non-corporate, people-powered political parties. The Black Panthers, they were not just smashed, they were assassinated, and thrown into jail. And believe me, they tried to criminalize me when I was investigated for 3 years by the Senate Intelligence Committee. They were trying to find, I had to turn over. When the Senate Intelligence Committee investigates you, you're not innocent till proven guilty. You're guilty till you can prove you're innocent. And you got to turn everything over to them. And they're looking for some little grain of sand with which they can charge you. And they couldn't find anything. So they didn't charge me. But, my colleague in Massachusetts with the Green Rainbow Party, Chuck Turner, he was falsely, he was the victim of an FBI sting, a false sting. And he was charged with accepting a large campaign contribution. This was never proven. It was BS from the start, and we all tried to fight it. But he went to jail for 3 years. So, they mean business. They mean business. They are after us. And I fully expect that they are going to try to criminalize us in the course of this election. And we need to be ready for that in the same way that they are criminalizing Omali Yeshitela right now with the African People's Socialist Party. And they're trying to throw him into jail for 15 years. They are playing hardball, and we need to expect that. That said, we have to fight the power. We don't have any choice here but to fight, because the ship is going down. Empire is unraveling, and it's doubling down while it's unraveling in ways that are horrific. And along with empire comes, the police state here at home. Along with that comes the oligarchy here at home, which is crushing working people and communities of color and youth and young people. And it is a miracle, and it is a gift that young people are leading the charge. As Dhoruba was saying early on, this is just amazing who is leading us, and the American people have already been woken up. So this is a fight we need to keep fighting, and I think in every way we can fight it in this election is helpful. And by fighting it together, in the streets on the issues, for us to be collaborating, as parties is a great thing for us to do. Were you going to jump in there, Dhoruba? Were you about to say something?
Yeah. I think you pointed out a number of things, and as I indicated to Cornell, in many ways, having 3 campaigns of running with similar agendas and similar constituencies, is a benefit for us at this particular point. We all know about Project 2025 and how the right wing intends to clean house if they're brought back into power, and the fact that the Green Party has that ballot line, as you pointed out, in a number of states is a valuable asset to the left. And I think that if one of the major things that we have to pay attention to, especially in the Black community, is how we could thwart the militarized policing in our community. And as you know, the original Black Panther Party call for anti-fascist front in 1969. One of the major features of that call was the establishment of national committees to combat fascism in each chapters in each city. And the major objective of these chapters to combat fascism was to put on the ballot community control of public safety, community control of the police, and to organize and to put on the ballot decentralization of the police, to take the power or the ability to appoint police chiefs out of the hands of mayors and those politics to putting it in the hands of the people. And I think that having a ballot line like the Green Party does, this affords local politics, local organizers organize around that agenda in major urban cities where we understand now, after so many years, 40 years, that Black faces in high places don't necessarily mean that poor people are empowered, that Black people are empowered, that we have to understand the nature of class struggle. We have to understand that there are corporate shills amongst us. And so I think that I'm glad to hear that you are positive about working towards the United Front. Like you said, we're not talking about uniformity here. We're talking about unity, and you indicated that there was that one of the problems with three different parties in terms of communicating with each other is running into electoral commission laws that prohibit that.
Mhm.
Well, the United Front allows you and the other parties to communicate with each other, to coordinate with each other through a united front, and other agencies and other agents, whether they are other organizations or other movements. We know the BDS movement has been demonized and criminalized. We know that the BDS movement should be a part of the United Front, should be a concrete part of the United Front. So, and also too, the demonization of us when we're in solidarity with other movements abroad, whether it's the Palestinian movement, whether it's other movements in trying to get AFRICOM out of Africa, we can be demonized and criminalized as cooperating with terrorist organizations, But I think that we have to take the initiative. I think that one of the values that I pointed out to Cornel West is that each one of you, Claudia, and Cornell, bring a unique feature to our effort to create a united force, a united front. And as you pointed out, I think that if we could do this now, if we could start to build this type of multi-organizational united front now, that 4 years from now, if we can maintain a principled approach to this, a principled struggle in the off year ballots, because all politics is local. If we can then enhance the local organizations that are on our sides of the barricades in 4 years, we can be having a convention for a single political party. And like you said, we all don't have to be in the leadership of that. We could contribute organizationally. We could contribute logistically to this united front. And I'm very glad that you laid out the urgency for us to have this now. That Project 2025 that the right wing is proposing is an authoritarian fascist manifesto. I mean, clearly, and so if the right and the ethno white nationalists are consolidating themselves, are pulling themselves together, we have to do the same, and we have to do the same immediately. Like you said, this should have been done yesterday. So I know I'm looking forward to hopefully you, Jill, and the Green Party helping us to bring other local organizations into a united front, and that can manifest itself in terms of these local organizations using your ballot access to get on the ballot issues like community control of public safety in particular cities, and getting on the ballot certain programs and projects that can empty out these prisons or change the prison, the school to prison pipeline in particular cities. I read the Green Party's platform, and y'all are going heavy in the paint on education, on debt forgiveness for education. You're going heavy in the paint on changing the curriculums in schools so that they empower students, so that we could have a more thoroughly trained youth who are taught how to think, not what to think. You see, so I think that the Green Party could offer a lot in a united front and help a lot in a united front. And I just think that we need to pool our resources and look at the different constituents in different cities where we could organize groups and organizations to push a particular a part of the platforms of each party. You know, I know that Claudia's party is heavy on trying to um, um, institutionalize or bring into the forefront a more socialist and left approach to electoral politics, to how we organize in the community. And so each one of you, you know, I understand that, you know, the differences that that you might that you and Cornell have, but Cornell pointed out that he is just as willing to put, you know, private or personal differences aside, or sectarian differences aside, and build this united front. And you sound positive, and you seem to be saying the exact same thing. But I think that we're not asking the Green Party to undermine or sabotage its own ballot line in the states. We are just saying that that's an asset to a united front that could give local organizations that are unable to get certain issues before the state and local legislator. They have an instrument. They have a way to do that. You see, and so I hope that we could go forward, sister, and build and organize this front. I don't think we have much time. I think that that the enemy is going to, like you pointed out, they're going to try to criminalize us. They're going to try to criminalize you. We know that when, like I pointed out, that when they unleash the dogs of war on protesters, that they've already lost. They've already lost the ideological and a tactical position, and they're trying to regain it. And the way they're going to try to regain it is to encapsulate our movements and suck the oxygen and the energy out of our movements, intimidate us into acquiescing to repression. We know the role that the Bernie Sanders. You know, I've had a lot of back and forth with some comrades and lawyers in the Midwest about Bernie Sanders when he first came out and ran against the Wicked Witch of the West, Hillary Clinton, and I said, you know, he's a sheepdog. You know, he's and so all these young people that got behind him, all of these young people that thought, you know, that he would represent an alternative, even if it was a democratic socialist alternative, even a neoliberal reform alternative, they were disappointed. They were left hanging, and I think that those people are still out there. I think that they may have been disillusioned. We know that there's a significant disillusionment with the Democratic Party. We know that. We know that people are looking for an alternative. People are looking for a way to make their voices heard. And so this is why the United Front now has to come on strong. We really have to come on strong and give everyone a place in this United Front so that they could feel empowered, so that they could have their voices heard, so that we could perhaps, like as you pointed out, if we don't have any power, if we don't have any clout, they're not going to listen to us.
Yeah.
And so I'm really hoping that we could, in between now and September, build a credible basis for a united front, so that when we go into the next school year, students now have an itinerary that they could follow. They now have a list of votes and people that they can go to, besides the Democratic Party, to express themselves and to be heard. So I think that, like you said, time, we have to seize this time in this moment.
So definitely. So one of the questions we posed for Dr. West was, where do we go after the election, right? I think that, you pointed out that you had been building and organizing in your home state of Massachusetts, which is great, because as Dhoruba pointed out, all politics are local. So, of course, before we jump out into the world, we have to, let's assess what's going on the block, in the community, in our cities, in our areas, states, whatever, so on and so forth. But I want to know, first of all, how do you feel about a commitment to what Dhoruba's proposing when we're talking about building a united front against fascism? Can we count on you joining us in that effort? We know that you've already took a leap out there, and as was pointed out, we love the fact that you took an inch. Now we got to run some kilometers. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta upgrade. We're going from 5K to marathon. So we're asking you, what does this race look like, and how does it weigh out after after the election, win, lose, or draw?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the only way. It's the only way forward. I think if we're not building a united front, we're not really fighting this battle. And so I'm totally with you. And it's music to my ears that you're putting this out there right now. And I think you have enormous credibility here, especially you, Dhoruba, coming from the Panthers, having been around the block on this. Growing up in the Vietnam War, I feel like I have a whole lot of perspective on this, because you see these cycles, as you were pointing out, the militarized police and empire. They just go hand in hand. The assault on our democracy and our basic rights, and the racism. As Martin Luther King said, it's racism, militarism, and capitalism, extreme materialism. They go hand in hand, and you see it go through these cycles, and you realize, what the fight is all about, and how we got to fight it, and we got to fight it together. And, I'm really grateful that with your very long-term vision here, being immersed in the struggle, we really need your leadership on this. And I would love to support this in every way that I can. And my sense is that my colleagues in the Green Party are going to be, 100% behind this too. The question in my mind is, can we get this going, before the election is over? And, all politics is local, but sometimes a national thing can be very inspiring to people. And, so maybe you hold a couple of regional conferences, if not a national one. But, I would love to see us getting together. Those of us who were behind this Left Elect thing, which was an effort to bring together the parties of the left back starting in 2012. And it went on for years. And then it got busted up basically by Sanders and the false hope of his election and the sheepdogging. It's been really hard to get it back together. But this is like what many of us have been saying. It's got to happen. None of us can do this alone. We can't afford to be divided and conquered. And in this election, I've been hearing from lots of the smaller parties that have previously been kind of sectarian, my way or the highway. I'm not hearing that anymore. I'm really hearing people feeling like we are all.
Yeah, me too. I'm hearing that too. I'm hearing that from, when I first gave this, and I don't want to call it a challenge. I just want to call it an invitation to all three of you guys. When I spoke at the masjid in LA, a few days ago is when I first articulated this in public. I talked about it to comrades and people behind the scenes, but I felt that we couldn't waste no more time. And I know that the young Muslims there on the West Coast, they really were ecstatic because they were urged to not use religion as a divisive tool, but as a unifying tool. That Muslims were commanded in the Quran to stand up for those who can't fight for themselves, to stand for the poor, to stand for the poor, to stand for truth, and that they need to be in the leadership of the united front and of this movement. So I'm feeling very positive about this. I've talked to other organizations and groups, and they're saying like, when are we gonna get this? When we gonna get the party started? So here we go, flipping it on Kalanji again. So I think we do have to have a series of regional conferences. If we can't do them face to face, we should at least do them on Zoom. That we have to draw up an agenda and a format, even if we want to call it a manifesto for a united front that has principles where all three campaigns could buy into, where all three campaigns could advocate in their particular spheres of influence and struggle, and that will find their way onto the ballot in the various states where you are running, where the campaigns are running, so that people do have an alternative. They can say, yeah, we ain't voting for Kamala and Genocide Joe. We voting for this party, or we voting for these causes, so people can have an alternative. And I think that we have until Black August, until August and September, to really get this party started. And so by then we should have a concrete united front, at least in terms of commitments from organizations and individuals, so that we could go into the campaign, the real serious campaigning between September and November, with a clear ideology, with brothers and sisters traveling all over the country saying the same thing. And this is what I talk to my comrades about that used to be in the Black Panther Party with me, that a lot of our schedules are full, but we could fill in for each other. We have to get, like, for instance, the BDS on board, and we have to get the National Lawyers Guild on board to file suits, civil class actions that act as offensive tools. Like, for instance, I said for a long time that we should have brought a civil litigation against AIPAC, and we should have demanded that the Department of Justice declare them an agent of a foreign government, because they are. Now, we didn't expect to win that litigation, but it could have went to organize people as to what AIPAC was about, and how that same criteria has been used against the left, against leftist organizations that supported the Palestinians, that supported struggles abroad. And also, too, I brought up, when we talked about the centralization of police and community control of the police, that we needed to file a class action against police unions, because the police are not workers. They're armed agents of the state. So as armed agents of the state, their unions should be decertified and reconstituted as fraternal or professional associations, but not unions. Not where they can call the shots in local elections and be kingmakers. We got unions, police unions, that have more clout and more power in local government than the people do in the community. You see, and that means that a lot of our elected officials, and this affects your ballot line, have to cater to law enforcement, have to say those things that are not necessarily beneficial to the community. So I think that yes, we need to get Kalanji to give us a timetable to put together put together. I know I have a crew of young activists. A lot of them just came out of prison. So he got foot soldiers, to go door to door and do all the knocking on the doors and handing out the leaflets and all of that stuff. We got to get back to that again. We have to get back face to face with the community again. So I'm looking for the next hookup that Kalandri's going to arrange for us. Hopefully we'll have other organizations on board and that can bring to the table their particular networks and resources.
Yeah, so to your point, thank you, Dhoruba, for delegating me and giving me another job. I don't do enough, but yeah, definitely the FTP movement will be on the job. I'm retiring, but I want to one of the things that Jill mentioned, and I know that I know that you're pressed for time. I know that you have other things to do. Dhoruba's about 5-6 hours ahead. I know some folks was complaining about your microphone, Dhoruba, but Dhoruba's in Africa right now, and it's probably after midnight, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's almost midnight. It's 11:59.
Right on. So just to let you all know, because I know some folks might be in California or wherever, and they chilling and everything. So they talking different. Jill, I want to ask you real quick. First of all, and to Dhoruba's point, we will be having follow-up sessions.
Great.
We plan on doing a virtual and then eventually a in public convention, because we think it's necessary, not just with politicians. I know that some folks are confused and they're thinking, well, we're looking for politicians to save us. I think I could speak for Dhoruba and myself by saying that we are not necessarily pro-electoral politics, but we utilize whatever tools are necessary to win. So for folks who are unclear, because I know that some folks are like, well, I thought you was this, we don't care what you think. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people think they're thinking. Right now, we understand when we're talking about warfare, we need all able bodies. We need insects, animals, whatever can help us win the war. If we have to take Vietnam as a lesson out of the page of history, then we'll do that. But I wanted to ask you, one of the things that you mentioned earlier was that that you were attacked by the police. I think you said, I forgot, where was it, Michigan or?
In Louisiana. In Louisville. I'm sorry, St. Louis. In St. Louis.
Yeah. St. Louis. Yeah. Well, St. Louis, Louisiana, as Malcolm said, anything south of the Canadian border is the South. Yeah. So I want to ask you, because one of the things that a few years ago, 9 years ago, in fact, Dhoruba, former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney, and myself, we formed the National Coalition to Combat Police Terrorism. And one of the things we talked about was, as Dhoruba alluded to earlier, was community control of public safety, which would include the decentralization of the police department. I wanted to know what would be your take on something like that, because do you feel that we should move more towards community control of public safety, or, a crazy question would be, are we doing good the way we are right now?
Right. Yeah, no, we're in a lot of trouble. And, we just, we just had the 4th anniversary of the death of, the
George
brother.
Floyd.
Yeah, George Floyd. 4th anniversary, and like what's changed? What's changed is that there are more people being killed at the hands of police now. The numbers are off the charts, and we know the main victims of police violence. Well, police violence is incredibly disproportionately directed at people of color. Black people are like 13% of the population, but about 3 times that in terms of encounters with the police, death at the hands of police. So, yeah, I mean, things are in terrible shape. And yes, communities need to be in control of their police instead of having police controlling the communities. We should have, basically community elected boards that are in charge of hiring and firing and investigating and have the power to subpoena and federal oversight as well to ensure that there is accountability of police, an end to the various, insurance policies and all that basically protect police from accountability. So yeah, I loved what Dhoruba, was saying, to basically, let's redefine this as public safety. How do we create safe communities? And, we need to fund the things that keep communities safe. And that's mainly eliminating poverty, ensuring that we have quality education. Our campaign calls for an equitable floor for education across all communities. The quality of your schools should not depend on the property tax and, how much high-end luxury housing you have. We should have equitable funding for education across all communities. We need to fund what's really essential for public safety, and not go spending half of our urban budgets, like in Los Angeles, I think in New York as well, where it's like half of the city budget goes into the militarized police force, which doesn't make us safer, and is incredibly violent against our communities. So yes, community-based policing, where the community is in charge of public safety, broadly conceived. That's absolutely the way that we need to go. And that's very much part of our platform, which has some little shades of difference from the Green Party platform. And if you go to JillStein2024.com, there's a whole platform now that's up that has a lot about community safety, as well as reparations, and healthcare, as a human right, an economic bill of rights, the right to a job, the right to an income above poverty level. We need basic human rights in our communities as well. So yeah, absolutely. I'm in complete agreement with everything that I hear both of you saying.
Right on, right on. But we definitely appreciate you answering the call. I think this is maybe your third or fourth time coming on the show. And, again, like I mentioned to Cornell, when I make the call, I've never gotten an excuse from you. There's never been a situation where you're telling me that you're out skiing, or, you playing Yahtzee, or whatever the case is, you're on board, so we appreciate you answering the call. We appreciate the work that you have been doing and that you continue to do, locally and internationally, nationally and internationally. Yes.
And there's one other thing I want to throw in just terms of what we can do right now to kind of get this jump started, and a role that this united front against fascism could play. We badly need to have a general strike, if only a one-day strike, to show that the people have power here. We have economic power. We've seen that in the ability of BDS, which Dhoruba was, referencing. We need BDS right now on an international scale. In fact, the Human Rights Commission, I think, of the United Nations has called for, certainly stopping the flow of weapons, but we need sanctions beyond that against Israel. We saw today, just a whole new extreme of violence with essentially the firebombing of tents, of refugees living in tents who've been displaced so many times over and over again. Now they're firebombed, and just burning children alive. That's what we're seeing. This is not getting better. This is their response to the criminal arrest warrants that have been issued by the International Court. So we need traction here. We need traction. And part of that is economic traction. And I really want to throw out, we need that BDS, and we need a one-day strike, 1 or possibly 2 days. This has begun to be a conversation now, and it'd be really
but
great.
I think I agree with that. I've been in touch with activists in Austria and in Paris. Great. And in Germany, who have been on the front lines. So some of them have went out onto the campuses and suffered the same type of repression here. I think that's why I think it's very important for us to have our act together here, so that we could build an international united front, because fascism is on the rise throughout the Western so-called democracies, and it's gaining traction. And the governments of the West, with the war in the Ukraine, the proxy war in the Ukraine, with funding the settler state of Israel, is completely against what the majority of people want, what the majority of people are calling for. These governments are ignoring people. But I think, Jill, that you must understand that if we call for a general strike, it has to be effective. Otherwise, it's indicating our weakness. So we have to have organization down to the last. We have to get unions on board. We have to. This is one of the reasons why we have to really put police unions on notice that workers do not consider them a union. They're armed agents of the state. In fact, when the time comes, when the word is given, they break up unions using union action. It's the police. It's the armed agents of the state. And so we have our work cut out for us, Jill, in building up the type of working class solidarity where we can call a day a general strike. We know that from the boycotts of certain corporations, over Palestine, that they've been forced to change their tune. Starbucks and all of these other. So we know that the energy is there, but it has to be organized, and we have to get unions on board. We have to get the BDS on board. We have to reach out to our. I know the Green Party has international relationships with other Green parties abroad. We have to really get our comrades abroad to become a more vocal in terms of solidarity, in terms of understanding the politics of the empire. This is the seat of the empire where we're sitting at. The EU has elections coming up right now. The EU has elections for their parliament coming up, and the right is organizing to try to upgrade their influence. We know that Ireland and what is it? Ireland, Spain. Was it Spain? We know that three EU countries have recognized Palestine. So the United Nations is right there in New York. The headquarters of the United Nations is right there in New York. And as you was pointing out, putting pressure on the UN, the Human Rights Commission. We have to be able to. This is why the United Front is so important, so that we could have days where just union organizers in the United Front picket the United Nations, and then after that we could have days when women organizations picket the United Nations, and we could do this, as a show of continuity until we could call for a general strike. And I think we should pick up a day that the capitalists think is one of their days when they could clean up their economy for the year, like their Black Fridays or whatever they want to call it. These are the types of days or events that we need to be able to call a general strike. And so, I agree with that concept, but we have to organize. We have to be organized, and we have to build a broad, united front in order to make that happen.
Well, I tell you what I'm going for, what I'm suggesting is that every month there's a quote unquote capitalist holiday meant to keep this economy going. From January to December, there's some sale day. So I'm saying if we're going to talk about a general strike, perhaps we should deal around some of these quote unquote holidays, not necessarily on the date because people are out of work anyway, but close enough to it that it can impact not just one, but making it the norm. They brutalize us, they murder us, they terrorize us, they lock us up, so on and so forth, every day of the year. They don't take a day off. So we can't afford to take a day off either, except for when we're talking about working on that particular slave ship. I want to thank you, Jill, for coming on board. It is refreshing. Dhoruba owes me like about $1 million because I told him that you all would come on board. And he had some doubt. He said, "Man, they ain't gonna come. They not gonna show up."
It's true. It's true. I I was, you know, I got taken in by the doom and gloom of the situation because you know it don't look good for the home team. You know, fascism is on the rise. People are feeling vulnerable. People are being victimized by the extremes of climate change. I know right here in Africa, right here
Wait, D,
in Ghana.
hold your rap, man, because I know you about to get down to this rap real quick. But before you do that, because we're gonna have to wrap up in a second, let me say for the folks that are watching, if you want to stay tuned or you want to be updated with what's going on with this call for a united front against fascism, make sure that you sign our email list at blackpowermedia.org. That's blackpowermedia.org. Also, if you're checking us out on this platform, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Okay, subscribe to this channel to stay updated, to know what's going on here. Click on the link and make sure that you're on the right side of history. The FTP movement, we are commemorating our 20-year anniversary during Black August. So we expect to see you all out front and center. And we will also, as Dhoruba decided to give me the great job to continue keeping this thing moving, I'm going to pass it on to the FTP movement, and we're going to make sure that this thing becomes a reality. We appreciate you all for hanging out with us. You know, it's been a double dose. You had Dr. Cornel West, Dr. Jill Stein. As I mentioned earlier, we invited our sister Claudia. Claudia, the invitation is still open. Please send out this piece to Claudia and let her know that this is an ongoing process. This is not an event. We understand that she's been busy out there working and holding it down. So we definitely want to hear from her as well. We don't want to leave no stone unturned. Certain people we're not going to have on here. I know someone hit me up talking about Robert Kennedy. I don't think this is the platform for that particular piece.
Nobody called it to Robert Kennedy. Come on, man, you
Listen,
exaggerating.
we
I
got
don't
this.
believe nobody called it.
I got some emails about a few people, but I'm not
The niggas, the
even gonna go.
Libertarian Party.
Listen, man. They like Carl Kalanji. He could do it all. But anyway, I was gonna invite him out, but I thought we'd be going too far. But anyway,
Doesn't he have a
definitely,
worm in his brain?
man. Come on, man. Listen, Dr. Jill Stein, do you have any closing words for us? We're not gonna get banned messing with Dhoruba.
Listen, it's really wonderful for this to be happening and for it to be convened by Black Power Media and Dhoruba, just with your expertise, your experience, and just the respect that you hold. This makes me really, really excited, and I'm really hopeful, and I can't wait to get down to work. So thank you all so much. Thanks to everybody. Support Black Power Media. They do great work, and you know, this is what real journalism looks like. We got to support it. We badly need it. Everything depends on it. So let's keep it happening, and together we are unstoppable. And like Dhoruba was saying, you know, Empire is doubling down right now because they know their days are numbered, and you know, they're quaking in their boots because we the people are here, and we're getting stronger, and we're not going to stop until we prevail. So we got to fight like our lives depend on it. They do.
Yes, they do.
Happen together.
We appreciate you, Jill. We'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you so much. Really an honor to be with you both.
No doubt. Honored to have you. We just had Dr. Jill Stein on board. We had Dr. Cornel West. Dhoruba's over there in Africa, you know, chilling under a palm tree or something. I don't know what he's doing over there. But I want to ask you, Dhoruba, what are your thoughts on what just happened as far as with Dr. West and Dr. Stein? What's some closing words you can give us, brother?
Well, I feel somewhat revived about it. And I think both of them has indicated that they're willing to move forward and contribute to organizing a united front, you know, and putting any type of personal sectarian differences aside to do that. And I fully expect that, you know, that Sister Claudia, once we can get her input and ideas and suggestions, I'm feeling hopeful that she too would feel the same. And I think that with these three campaigns on board, each one of them has something that they could offer towards building this united front. Now, what we need to do is we need to get more organizations on board in our communities, just willing to put together a somewhat of a coordinating committee to contribute to some type of structure, so that we could hammer out a united front manifesto, a united front program, where every organization could say principally that we agree with this point, and on this point we're committed to the united front. And this doesn't mean that that because they join the united front that they're giving up their organizational integrity or programs or projects. What it means is that they're expanding these things so that we all can participate and back each other up. And I think that Dr. Stein indicated that there should come a point where we need to flex our muscle, where we need to flex ourselves, where we need to see how strong we are. And so I'm down for trying to build towards a general strike, you know, or and aim it particularly at a particular aspect of the capitalist economy. I do know that right now there's plenty talk about how the oligarchy wants to go over to a digital currency, a digital banking currency, in order to avoid the meltdown and the depression that's about to hit again. So I think that we should hurry sundown. We should hurry the sundown to capitalism. We should hurry this down. We should hurry it. We should push it to its brink. You know, I think that we know that that our black capitalists, homeboys, you know, who think that, you know, that the dollar is worth something. We do know that the dollar is absolutely worthless. It's an IOU. And so keeping it in the black community is only accumulating debt. So what we need to do is we need to begin to train our communities to become more self-sufficient, more. We need to be able to build survival mechanisms and networks in our community, so that, as you know, that that as as the infrastructure begins to contract, begins to have problems. We know that the lights have been going off in certain regions of the country. Sometimes 800,000, 1 million people are affected by weather-related outages. And so we need to prepare our communities for these type of natural catastrophes. And I think that this is one of the better ways that the United Front could begin to have a impact on the local level. If we could bring in the clergy, if we could bring in the Muslim communities into training and preparing our people to deal with cooperative efforts, to organize our communities around issues of public safety, public health, around issues of education, that the United Front could serve as the basis for in the next period, in the next year or so, serve as the basis for political empowerment of our people. So I think this is a start, and I think that you had indicated to me in the phone call just the other day that we could take this to another level, and I think that you know, given the commitment that that both Cornell and Dr. Stein had indicated, that at least we know now that the campaigns that are running are running. They're not running on empty. They're not running on sectarian agendas. That they're willing to contribute to building a broader united front, and that we should be able to offer votes to young people, somebody to vote for in this coming election, other than the two wings of this buzzard called the American electoral system. I think that we have to get on the agenda of a struggle to to do away with the electoral college system, to somehow circumvent the electoral college system, because it's a system that's made for the oligarchy. It's a system that's made for property and people with money, and not for the masses of people. America needs to have one person, one vote, and not an electoral college system. So, I mean, these are my thoughts, but I'm thinking now that we need to do the real grassroots work. We need to bring other organizations in. We need to
We're
get
here.
them to sign up, and
Right.
and we're good to go.
Hey man, listen, we are here now. We're getting it started. We already have begun the process. We have a team working on hitting up a number of different organizations for folks who are out there organizing. Uh, Big organizations, small organizations, known organizations, unknown organizations. Whether you have one member in your organization or 1,000 members, because I know some of y'all be talking about you got organizations and it's just 3 people, me, myself, and I, and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Come on board
That'll
and be
work.
ready.
That'll
Yeah,
work.
be ready to learn, be ready to organize and get in on some of this grunt work. You know, we have to hop off the internet sometime and see what that pavement feel like, see what that dirt feel like, you know, grow something, you know, you know, besides your Facebook likes and your YouTube subscriptions and so on and so forth. But we want to thank you all for
And
coming out.
your weed, grow something besides weed.
Man, why you hating on weed now? But anyway,
I ain't hating on it. I'm just saying that we need to grow something. We need to grow a movement, brother.
no doubt,
You
no
know,
doubt. We just talking
that's what I'm
trash over
saying.
stuff. I know some folks like, man, there they go talking about weed. Anyway, we appreciate you all coming out.
I'm on gummies. I'm on gummies,
You,
man.
you
I
know
can't
this,
handle that.
but
Yeah,
you're
I'm
a
on.
hater now. It's all good.
I,
He want to
yeah.
legalize what he could do. But anyway, we appreciate you all coming on board. Make sure again, um, subscribe to the channel. Um, and it feels funny me saying that, but subscribe to the channel because this is what we're doing. We have a new lineup of shows that will be coming on June 20th, and prior to June 20th, we have a number of different folks who will have new shows on this platform. We have a legendary hip hop artist, revolutionary hip hop artist, who will have a show right on this platform. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but you will see soon. We have a number of different folks internationally. We have a show, some Pan Africanists that will be joining us out of Spain. We have another show that will be joining us from Argentina. We will be multilingual. Um, we have some other things going on as well. We would like to do is it ESL? Definitely ESL, but we want to have, you got to forgive me, my brain has kind of been working all day. Sign language, American Sign Language, ASL. We're looking to hire a person to come on board to make sure that those who are having hearing issues, hearing impaired, so on and so forth, can get a grip as well, get on board. We want to make sure that this is an international fight. So continue to join us, support our join us on Patreon. We have a new Patreon. It's scrolling across the bottom. Make sure you support that, support our Cash App, so on and so forth. We have a lot of shows that will be coming back. Guerrilla Intellectual University with Dr. Joy James. Shout out to her and a number of other different shows. So we want to make sure that you all continue to support what it is we're doing. We have a few books coming out. Black Power Media is moving beyond just a YouTube channel. We're talking about a multi-dimensional, I'm losing it right now. But anyway, we're moving on the propaganda scale, and we're making sure that our multimedia aspect is going a little bit further. So again, we thank you all for supporting us. Make sure that you continue to join us, and we're going to continue this fight. Thank you, Dr. Jill Stein. Thank you, Dr. Cornel West. And we will see you in the whirlwind, as our brother Dhoruba said. Share this video, you all. Thank you. Dhoruba,
Peace.
we will be safe. Peace.
Sometimes the riot is a quiet one. Well, the battle is to love yourself and function in society where voices of reason are muted by anxiety, like gaining notoriety is selling your soul. So we tend to go no deeper than the shallow water level, trying to keep us overhead in the face of all the slurs and the stares. Mentally frozen, paralyzed by fear of failure and success. So we lock, stock, barrel, running while it's crumbling. All these towers and they're babbling, but the baby's in the bath and the stash under the bed on my head, spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings that they pull. Then we move. Reactionary warfare never produces winners on the field. Feeble and foolish. What tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. Real revolution. It's real solutions. Well, we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Well, my inner me, really a mirror for the galaxy. New time, brand new paradigms, new contracts to sign. They thought that this would all be televised, though it's happening right before our very eyes. It's on the inside, with their guns cocked. When that rock drops, standing on the rooftop, praying that the mountaintop can live inside the valley. People tell me the reward is somewhere off in heaven, like heaven's only in the sky, like chariots are swinging, like God is something separate from yourself, from your wealth, from your lover, from your neighbor. Oh, your savior is coming in your own name, coming with the face the same. Real revolution. It's real solutions. Where we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Where my enemy is really a mirror for the galaxy. And so we lock, stock, barrel, running while it's crumbling. All these towers and they're babbling, but the baby's in the bath and the stash under the bed. Oh, my head spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings they pull. Then we move. Reactionary warfare never produces winners on the field. Feeble and foolish. What tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. Real revolution, producing real solutions. Because we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division.